have, of course, all the big political stories to the sporting action lined up for you in this bulletin. But let's get started with the big news first. An explosive revelation on India's most wanted man, Dawood Ibrahim. Former CBI DIG Neeraj Kumar has revealed that 15 months after Dawood rained death on Mumbai in the 1993 serial blasts, he was ready to surrender and even spoke 3 times to Neeraj Kumar, who was then the CBI DIG. Now, according to an English daily, Dawood spoke to Neeraj Kumar 3 times in June of 1994. But the CBI allegedly declined his offer. Dawood Ibrahim is the prime accused in the serial blasts that claimed more than 250 lives. Neeraj Kumar said, and I quote as per the daily, "I spoke to a jittery Dawood 3 times in June 1994. He seemed to be toying with the idea of surrendering, but had one worry. His rival gangs could finish him off if he returned to India. I told him his safety would be the responsibility of the CBI. Dawood was edgy and said he had no role in the blasts," unquote. Remember, Neeraj Kumar was leading at the CBI probe into the 13 blasts that rocked India's financial capital on 12th of March 1993. Kumar further stated in the interview that after granting him the permission to talk to Dawood, his seniors abruptly told him to put an end to the phone calls. Considered an expert on the underworld, Neeraj Kumar is writing about the top 10 investigations of his career with the IPS, of course, through 37 years of that career.
No such offer of surrender from that side, whether Dawood Ibrahim or anybody on his behalf. No such offer came, and if it had come, it is not within my knowledge. And we were at that time moving earth and heaven to get Dawood Ibrahim arrested and put him up for trial in Mumbai Special Court. And I can't imagine the efforts we have made to get at him. It's a very long story, and most of it are on record. It's not as though they have not been recorded. And at no stage the offer of his surrender was brought to my notice.
Let all the facts come out without the entire facts being known, the context, and then to speak on a hypothetical situation may not be correct. It may be premature. So a more structured comment is possible once the entire facts are known.
The BJP's Nalin Kohli not really willing to comment at this point in time. But before Nalin Kohli, we played out comments, in fact, of KV Rama Rao on the television screens. KV Rama Rao was actually heading the CBI in 1994 when Neeraj Kumar was serving as DIG in the institution. And in fact, KV Rama Rao was at that point Neeraj Kumar's boss. But he seems to be dismissing of all the claims that have been made by Neeraj Kumar as per the English Daily. Joining me now live is Deputy Editor Athar Khan, who tracks the CBI very closely. Athar, first and foremost, have you been able to get further sense from Neeraj Kumar if he's ready to, really willing to sort of stand by his claims and come out maybe with further evidence to substantiate that he indeed have 3 phone conversations with Dawood Ibrahim? Because clearly his boss of the day seems to be completely dismissive about that statement.
Well, that's right. You see, we've been trying to establish contact with Neeraj Kumar, and his allegations cannot be brushed aside. His, revelation cannot be brushed aside lightly, because he's the person who has worked very closely in CBI, and he's handled a lot of underworld cases, specifically 1993 case. He had extensively traveled to Mumbai and based there till the investigations were carried out. A detailed investigation was there, and there was a mountain of evidence. That's what he says every time. That he had substantial evidence, but this revelation raises several questions, Smita. Right. And though the then CBI chief is trying to say that it is unthinkable and it is totally unimaginable that the CBI would have turned down any such surrender offer. Perhaps there was some communication gap. Perhaps it was nipped in the bud. This entire process, Neeraj Kumar had spoken to a mediator who was, who also also made him speak to Dawood Ibrahim in 1994, 11 months after the Mumbai blast. Clearly,
in fact,
this revelation...
Atir, perhaps the mediator that you're talking about, you're referring to Manish Lala, who was supposed to be a close aide of Dawood Ibrahim, who was handling his legal matters and was lodged in Arthur Road jail. And according to this interview, Neeraj Kumar actually managed to win the confidence of of Lala first, and then got to talk to Dawood Ibrahim. But you track the CBI. Give us a sense, for the benefit of the viewers, Atir, really, as far as the hierarchy of the organization would be concerned. If Neeraj Kumar was the DIG, between him and Vijay Ramarao as the CBI chief, would there be too many officers that Neeraj Kumar would be reporting to, and perhaps officers with the authority of somehow nipping off this conversation in the bud, as you say?
Well, yes, there are several layers between he was then the DIG and Ramarao was the chief. So there are various layers. There is Vijay Ramarao is the chief. He is the director. He was then the director. But then there is special director. Then there are joint directors, and there are various layers in between the chief and the DIG. So perhaps there could have been some communication gap. Neeraj Kumar revealing this is a very serious issue because he's worked very closely. But at the same time, the then CBI chief says that this communication did not reach him. So perhaps there's some communication gap. But if it was a deliberate act not to have taken, initiated this process, then there are various questions which are raised whether it was a deliberate move. But when Neeraj Kumar says that he had spoken to him and Dawood Ibrahim had expressed his need to surrender, it cannot be brushed aside lightly.
In fact, just to remind the viewers that PV Narasimha Rao, the late Prime Minister, was really the man who was calling the shots in terms of the government of the day, at least. But we do not know if the government of the day was in the know of these dealings or not. Atir, in fact, in those media comments, KV Ramarao also makes a comment saying that really a lot of effort over the years has been made into trying to get hold of Dawood Ibrahim, and much of it is in recorded evidence mode. So would it really be possible that if this CBI officer, the rank of somebody like Neeraj Kumar has conversations, that it would not be part of recorded minutes or recorded somehow the recordings of the CBI itself?
Well, that is a possibility, but then there are various operations which are carried out by the officers, especially DIG rank officers, into operations directly, supervising the operations. So various efforts are made, but it is not necessary that it is all put down on paper. But clearly, his revelation is also corroborated by what Ram Jethmalani says. Smita, he says that he had also spoken to Dawood Ibrahim, and he had revealed that he wanted to surrender provided he gets it was a conditional surrender. So yes, there is a corroboration, but when the CBI chief says that it was not communicated to him, then it's a serious matter altogether.
But clearly, it cannot be, it is not something that can be dismissed of, given of course Neeraj Kumar's stature, all these years of investigation that he has handled, and that he retired as Delhi Police Chief Commissioner. Coming from him, these statements obviously cannot be dismissed of.
Well, absolutely. He's a seasoned officer who's looked extensively into underworld operations. When he was in CBI, he rose to the rank of joint director in the CBI, and then eventually he became Delhi Police Chief, Delhi Police Commissioner. So he has wide experience in dealing with underworld. I know one of his operations in which he had rescued a West Asian businessman who was about to be killed by underworld operations in South Delhi. So his operations had been quite surgical. He had extensive knowledge about underworld operations. He was monitoring them very closely. So when he says that there was initiation of dialogue with Dawood Ibrahim, then it takes a serious connotations altogether, and he's also planning to put all this down in the book, which eventually is planning to come out with later this year.